We now have joining us from our Lagos studio, the Labour Party Governorship Candidate in Lagos State, Gbadebo Rhodes-Vivour. Good evening. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Good. So we're talking about your party. We're talking about the governorship election coming on Saturday and your preparedness. So how prepared are you to take on this challenge?
Well, we're going to be going into this election with a new mindset. We went into the first election trusting the INEC announcements, INEC declarations that they're going to be electronic transmission of votes, that we're going to see a free and fair election, and that was not the reality of what we saw on ground that day. So in our preparation, we've looked at what actually happened, the reality on ground, and we've made adjustments to our process to make sure that our elections will not be compromised again and the results will reflect what actually happened on that day at the polling units.
Well, Gbadebo, you're quite, you've been in the eye of the storm, I must say, since the Labour Party made that showing in Lagos State during the presidential election. And of course, we've seen all that has been going on with you, and even you had to give a press conference. But I want to circle back to what you have said concerning INEC and its performance. Well, just yesterday, the chairman finally admitting that, yes, there were flaws, and he's promising that the commission would actually do better. So I ask you now, how confident are you that INEC will be able to sort out most of the flaws, especially with regards to logistics, technology, and security, looking at what happened during the last election? Very confident? Do we cover
yes,
the
I mean, I'm not confident. I'm not confident in INEC. I'm not confident in any of their pronouncements. We'll prepare for the worst, hope for the best. Either way, will not be caught off guard again. What happened on Saturday was a sham and a disgrace to this nation. I voted, and when it was time to transmit, literally it said the portal is not open. The portal was open for the House of Rep, portal was open for the Senate, but for the presidential, it was not open. And we've seen INEC officials tipexing over results. All sorts of things have happened, all sorts of shenanigans I can go on and on about it. The point is, INEC in Lagos State acted like they were a branch of APC. And this happened all across Lagos State. So, and this only happened because we believed there was going to be electronic transmission of votes. We believed that our electoral system had deepened. And like what we saw in Osun State and the states that preceded Osun State's elections, there was a decent attempt at having a free and fair election. And that's the hope that carried us into this election. But, you know, you fool me once, shame on me. Sorry, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And that's not going to happen again. So we're preparing for election styles that were 2015, 2019 type elections. And we're going to be fully out there to make sure that our votes are not tampered with.
Okay, well said. Well said. Well, that was a huge one. If you say that you have no confidence in INEC or any of its pronouncements, what happens if the pronouncement favors you on Saturday?
You know, please don't misquote me. They have said, like they said before, that they're going to do electronic transmission of votes, right? I cannot have faith in a person that broke their word and seemingly just carried on the process and announced the presidential elect, a result which we vehemently reject. From our situation room, the actual results showed that Labour Party won with almost 900,000 votes. So if that same person comes again after the deed has been done and wants to start a new process and says we will transmit, I'll be a fool to just believe that that's what's going to happen. They've not done anything to correct the idea that even in their laws, elections cannot be valid if they've not transmitted election results electronically. It says, that's why we went to court to get an injunction that says INEC must follow its own rules, right? So, again, if INEC actually does what they're supposed to do, especially with all the money that was spent on having BVAS machines and ensuring electronic transmission of votes, and we have a fair election, of course I'll accept the results. I am just saying that I'm not going to be as trusting that what they say they will do is what they will do. We are going in as a party prepared for the worst, and we hope for the best.
Okay, so while you're hoping for the best, at the end of the day, I'm sure you must have seen, not just in Lagos State, but all across the country, the Labour Party and, of course, its members and its supporters seem to be the darling of the political scene right now, where we're seeing some of your candidates even step down for other parties' candidate. My question to you right now, what are you doing to ensure that your supporters stay with the Labour Party? Because some would argue that some of those who voted Labour, especially in Lagos, where you made a showing, they voted because of Peter Obi. So that support base, how are you ensuring they stay on the Labour train and ensure that Gbadebo Rhodes-Vivour gets elected on Saturday?
It's not just me, it's the entire party. Today alone, I was in Lagos Island meeting with our base. From there, I went to Amor Dofin. Tomorrow, we are going to 3 different local governments. Even His Excellency Peter Obi is in Lagos State as we speak. You know, so there is an effort to keep the morale, build the momentum, because it must be said, we made history on Saturday. We won in Alimosho. It has never been done in the last 2 decades. We won Ikeja local government, the capital of Lagos State. And the people, the first time I came on Arise TV when I joined Labour Party, I said, the elections in Lagos will be unprecedented. It will be nothing like anybody has ever seen. Because this was literally, the people decided to do a labor of love. It was not about buying votes. It's not about incentivizing them to come out. They were voting based on a hope for a better Nigeria and a hope for a better Lagos. And that hope has not gone away. We won. No matter how they try to cut out and take out our votes and all of that, we still emerge victorious. So we've made history, and we've done this across tribal lines, because there's an attempt to taint it as a tribal thing. The majority of people that live in Alimosho are Yoruba people. Majority of people that live in Lagos mainland are Yoruba people. Majority of people that live in Koshofe and Shomolu are Yoruba people. And we won all these local governments. So it was Nigerians that voted. And Nigerians voted for a better Nigeria, a hopeful Nigeria. And those Nigerians are still in Lagos State. And they're going to come out on Saturday and do the same thing over again.
Survivor, we appreciate your efforts so far in mobilizing your supporters and party members. What we're saying is, in certain states, like your state, your party doesn't have a governorship candidate. You are now adopting candidates of other parties. Now, isn't that pushing your members and supporters to other parties?
No, I wouldn't say that. Let's understand something. Labour Party is the equivalent of a child that was crawling today and was literally jumping the fence tomorrow. What we've achieved and what His Excellency Peter Obi has achieved in such a short time is monumental. There will obviously be states that we do not break even in. There are states where politicians would move based on their interest. There are states where people are more receptive to the ideology of it, and there are politicians in there that want to build. Right? Politics is a game of interest. No permanent friends, no permanent enemies. It's about interest. So the politicians that want to move, so be it. We are focused on building the party, building this movement, shepherding this new demographic of voters that we've brought to the ballot. It's something I've always said, even in all my interviews, that we are focused on bringing a new voter demography to the ballot, right? And we're going to increase that population, and that's what we're focused on in Lagos State.
Bringing new voters is one thing, but getting them to come out again next Saturday, some will say, will be a tall order, especially looking at the voter intimidation experience in most states, especially Lagos. The videos were all over the place. So I come back to the issue of security and ensuring that your base is covered with regards to intimidation and even ensuring that their lives are safe, you know, going out there to cast your ballot, that how are you going to ensure that your supporters, you know, they have that confidence that when they come out to cast their votes for you, they will go back home in one piece?
First, I'm going to say I don't think that people should be second-guessing Labour Party at this point. It started from 4 people tweeting in the room to winning Lagos State. And it started from the party does not have structure to now, are you going to be able to win again? The fact of the matter is that, like I said, we went into this election with trust for the INEC system that once we win at the polling units, it's going to be transmitted. That way, there will be no intimidation at collation centers, ward, and local government. And we've also seen that the APC has become extremely desperate, even in front of the houses of royal fathers. They were intimidating people, which is actually very shameful. I'm talking about in front of the Onuru's palace, in front of the Legushi's palace. So for us, we're not going back into this the same way. I'm not free to talk about our security plans, but our party and members of the party and our supporters are aware of all the efforts that we're making. And I assure you that they are going to come out and vote in mass, and they're going to be secured. We are not going to fall for the same tricks that happened the first time, and we've made robust, multi-layered security plans that we're going to ensure that the people that come out to vote for us will not be intimidated. We will resist any form of harassment or intimidation that comes near us.
Okay, I know that you've said it on several platforms till now, but if you get elected as governor of Lagos State, what's the first thing you're going to do?
Well, the first thing we're going to do is open up the accounts of Lagos State. We're going to ensure that it's line-by-line item transparent in terms of our costing. We'll use infographics to actually make it more understandable, because the idea is to build trust again with the people of Lagos. I believe that the relationship between the governor and the people that he governs must be sacrosanct, especially in a state that celebrates this high IGR. Now, in laying this foundation, we then set a value that is, we're tying values to World Bank benchmarks and best practice. So you now know that a kilometer of road should cost this. So when you see a contract figure that comes in, you compare it to that and you can see that we're stretching our resources. And in opening all of this, we're also creating an enabling environment that can make Lagos State, we're aiming to make Lagos State #1 in relation to ease of doing business. That way, we don't tie the development of Lagos to the purse strings of the state. We open it up to infrastructure developers and the private sector to actually get involved in project delivery. We also make sure that we depoliticize the entire waste management system. So we create a platform-based system where you have a truck, you have the equipment, we inspect it, you plug and play. You don't need to know anybody in the party, you don't need to be connected. It will pretty much be the Uber system. You have the mechanism, you plug in, you play, you get your routes. We're also going to domicile waste management at the local government level. So waste is separated from the houses, and the routes of each of these things are separate. So organic waste, inorganic waste, paper, and we're actually going to focus on waste management, not picking and dumping, upcycling, recycling, waste to wealth. So these are some of the things we'll do in the first 100 days. And lastly, and this is very low-hanging fruit, we'll open up the BRT lane to the private sector. Bus hailing devices, bus hailing services. So any bus that can take more than 40 people can use the BRT lane. It will no longer be a monopoly. Aside from that, we'll start to then x-ray why our projects have taken so long. Why is it that a president came to commission a blue line and yesterday nobody used it, tomorrow nobody is going to use it. By the point I'm inaugurated, I'm sure nobody will be using it either. The fact of the matter is, we need to be able to say to the people, this is what has happened to the resources of Lagos State in the last 20 years, and this is how we are going to manage it better. We must account for what we are meeting on ground so we have a baseline, and then set the standards for better behavior and better management of resources of Lagos State.
Amazing. You sound like you have a script for corporate governance in Lagos.
Absolutely. And Gbadebo, you know what? Since we're talking about your plans for the people of Lagos, you've been quite vocal about what you plan to do with Alpha Beta, so I'm not going to go in that direction. But you're making a promise to Lagosians about taking millions out of poverty, especially the young people. Would like you to walk us through that. And also the fact that you have a deputy as a woman is your deputy, speaking about Princess Islamiat Oyefusi. Talk to us about your plan for the women, the plans you have for the women in Lagos, if and when you become governor.
Okay. So for us, the focus is to fight urban poverty. It's a completely different kettle of fish from rural poverty. And like you said, those funds over the last 20 years, over about between 1.2 to 1.6 trillion in present day value has been accumulated by Alpha Beta, and Lagos State did not crumble. We're going to take those resources, take that money out, and put it into an empowerment program that's going to lift 1 million people, 1 million Lagosians out of poverty. The idea will be they group themselves into 5, and loans of up to 1 million will be given to them to engage in productive work with partnership with the government, because the government actually is requiring a lot of services to make Lagos State actually excellent. I'm talking about maintaining our gutters, I'm talking about cleaning the roads, I'm talking about engaging in environmental and waste management systems. So any business or any aggregation of people that are willing to get involved in this, the government is also going to help give them these interest-free loans and targets 1 million Lagosians every year. And the idea of this is that it then has a multiplier effect, because these monies can then go and create a circular economy in each of those local governments. And we're also going to focus on giving all these young men that are wasting their lives on the streets and have been weaponized by the political class because of how they use them during electioneering season. We're going to convert that to a more productive enterprise, where we'll give them employability skills. I give an example. As an architect, contractor, when you want to do POP in your house or you want to do proper tiling, you give the job to a Togo man or a man from Cotonou. But we have a lot of young men that are unemployed. We're going to give them employability skills, vocational skills, and we're going to domicile this at the local government level. So when contracts are being done at that local government, the companies get incentives to use these young men and women that have gone through these processes, and we're going to keep a database of the unemployed and the underemployed and constantly be seeking to give them significant capacity. Because with the amount of people we have in Lagos, if we are not a productive economy, we are sitting on a keg of gunpowder. Currently, 8 out of 10 containers that come into Lagos, and by extension Nigeria, leave empty. And that is a recipe for disaster. We don't have enough resources to be able to take care of all these people if they are not productive. And we must ensure that the young men and women in Lagos State are productive, they're highly skilled, and can attract businesses to come and work here because of the level of skill sets that the people in Lagos have. And the government must take and play a very significant role in this as a stakeholder in the development and flourishing of people and their businesses, so that when they then start to earn and they're paying taxes, the government then benefits, as opposed to just being a mafia shakedown type government that sees people doing well and just goes to take without giving.
Interesting.
And for the women, you just only talked about the youths.
Oh yes, and for the women, thank you very much. Women are going to have a minimum presence in our government of 35%, minimum, and it can be more. It will be more. The fact of the matter is they are going to be involved in every policy making that we're doing, and also the differently abled will also be on that table. The success of policy is by having multiple mindsets sitting and input their interests and ensure that their interests are preserved. We're also going to focus especially to tackle the number of out-of-school children in Lagos State by carrying the mothers and primary caregivers along. We're going to ensure that they are part of the policy, part of the implementation, and also start to keep databases of recently widowed and recently divorced women. Because we need to have a social welfare net that can ensure that the primary caregivers of these children are in the best mindset to actually ensure that these kids are going to school and getting quality
we'll
education.
hold you to your promises. That is, of course, if you emerge victorious.
That's why.
And all the best.
Always come when you invite me.
Absolutely, all the best on Saturday. Gbadebo Rhodes-Vivour, the Labour Party governorship candidate in Lagos State. Thank you for joining us tonight.